Marco, can you hear me? I cannot see you or hear you. I'm gonna unmute you, maybe. Marco. Marco.
Hello.
Now I can see you.
Wait,
And let's see if I can hear you.
That's weird.
Now?
Can I?
Hi, I hear you, but like now? Hello?
Yeah.
Now.
Hello, hello. Yeah, but I want to hear you in my headphones.
Okay, I'm
okay. Now it works. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Marco. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. It's a bit strange because I have to be on 2 sessions at the same time. So I have my laptop here.
I'm the same. So I have also here another device so that I can.
Yeah. And all right, how are you?
I'm stressed, but it's going well. Well, considering that this is an online event and the constraints it has, but I think it's not going so bad. So I'm gonna make you co-host, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And now I need to know, so should we admit the 3 people in the waiting room? I don't know who are the ones presenting. Do you know who are the ones presenting?
One is Andrea is presenting for sure.
So I'm gonna admit him.
Yeah, and the others I don't know because the other. Let me check. The other 2.
I have a list of all the presenters, but I don't know which corresponds.
The other 2 presenter will be Fabrizio Maggi.
Fabrizio Maria Maggi, okay. Maggi.
Yeah, and Sherprom is who is Sherprom? Let me check.
Sherprom, Gamal, Stefan.
Yes, probably Gamal.
Gamal.
Okay. Yeah, should be the presenter.
So yeah, Gamal and Fabrizio, and none of them are still there, so we don't need.
Yeah. Can I do a test? Can you?
Sure.
Let's see. So the test is this. Let me. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use this, but I want to test. Let's see. Come on.
Hi guys.
Hi, Andrea.
Do you hear anything?
Yes, some weird noise.
When you speak, there is a noise, Andrea.
Yeah, but what about now?
Yes, it's you.
Yeah,
is this a gong or something?
Yeah. It's a gong. We keep it. We're deciding, in emergency cases, we have the gong.
That's a good idea. Today, Artem was showing a watch to like.
Yeah, but because we were thinking to use it on a regular basis, but I mean, I think it's a bit too much, maybe. So I say if we run into trouble, then we can say, guys, thanks. All right. Okay.
So, by the way, Marco, we will be able to. So we will share our screen and we will do whatever we want, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, within the context of the demo.
I trust that, you know, everything will be.
Yes,
decent.
yes, yes, yes.
So you want to try sharing your screen, Andrea?
Yeah, okay. I think that should be fine,
Yeah,
but let's
Then on the
try.
phone, so,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm.
Yeah.
I'm on
you
two
see
sides
everything,
at the
right?
same time. So
Yes.
if you,
Yes.
yeah, but if you, I can hear you, you can hear me. I think Stefan is already one of the speakers. Am I right?
And by the way, Adela, it will be quite interactive, right? So everyone will be able to ask questions all the time, and everybody will be allowed to speak, or?
Yeah, I think it will be like a lecture, no? So everybody can just jump in if they want it.
This is
No?
a Zoom
Okay.
meeting, so it's the same. It works the same as in the workshop. So
okay.
everyone can unmute and share the video, share the screen.
It's very
So
odd because I
yeah,
am
it will be
somebody
quite
speaking
But
here.
if someone wants to say something, it has to be, so somebody has to unmute them first.
No, they can do that.
Okay.
Because this is not a webinar like in the other
Okay.
regular session. So everyone can, this is just a regular meeting and anyone
Perfect.
can mute and speak.
Perfect.
It's supposed to start at 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because there are still 2 presenters that are missing.
Yeah, I logged in 20 minutes before the beginning as
That's what we
what you asked for,
advised.
right?
But today there was a problem. Actually, I was hosting the research track session 4, and all of them were quite nervous because I couldn't start the webinar. So
Yeah.
Art and Stephanie were texting me and all those, and I was like, I'm trying to.
There was Amin, who was one of the presenters, who came into my office, and he was also freaking out a bit. So I wrote Artem, but then you managed. So
We managed. We started a bit later, but since the previous session also started, I also finished late. It was not so bad.
Yeah.
You cannot control these things. Sometimes it's impossible with the technical.
You can direct a movie, and then after doing all of that.
Oh my God. I think we should. I hope there is no need to run more VPNs online, only online. Maybe in a hybrid way, but not online. But if it happens, we should record something to give people advice because we learned so much.
Yeah, that's yeah, that must be. I mean, maybe
we thought of writing down like guidelines, at least for the hybrid part.
I must say that the probably this demo session is the one a bit more complicated because you have these multiple sessions.
Also, on Monday happened something similar because we had the 6 workshops in parallel. It was also quite also be 30 minutes in advance starting the sessions. Sometimes it's a bit like, okay, I'm gonna make you host here and I'm going to the other one.
Yeah, I think we can admit because Gamal and others, I think we can start a meeting.
And Fabrizio is also here.
Yeah.
Those are the presenters, right?
Yeah. So we have the presenter.
Okay.
And here, do we have the presenters here? We have Stefan. Tobias, you also are a presenter.
Fabrizio and Gamal. Yeah. Gamal, did you want to try sharing your screen just to check that everything works fine?
Well, my demo is working right now. Are you asking about that?
No, but share your screen with us.
Yeah, do you want me to share the screen? Okay.
If you guys want to do any test, I mean, the idea is that you can share your screen and you can show whatever you want. So, I mean,
Yeah, okay, I got it. I think, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, perfect.
Before we start. No.
Okay, Fabrizio, could you do the same just to
No.
check that everything works
Otherwise,
fine?
just it's really like
Yes.
like an online lecture. You can show your screen.
I'm
How are you
gonna-
doing, Fabrizio?
That's it.
I'm gonna
Fine,
mute.
you? How are you?
Good, good.
But of course, I don't. I
I
have
think,
to share
Gamal, you
the
should
screen.
stop first.
Yeah, Gamal, you should stop sharing your screen. And now,
I stopped it, yeah.
Michael, I muted you so that you can communicate in your other parallel session.
This is the tool
Perfect. Okay.
that Andrea
Hello.
knows a little bit.
Hello, Fabrizio.
Hi,
Mike,
how are you?
If you want, I can help you in this session. I'm gonna be here, so let me know if you need any support, because I guess it's a bit difficult, the ubiquitous situation.
Yeah, I mean, because in the end, yeah, it's probably, if you don't mind, I mean, because in the end,
You only need to tell me what I have to do, because
yeah,
I don't know how you
know,
this.
it's 20 minutes, 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for questions, plus 5 minutes for changing, so for allowing people to jump between sessions. So I think that the 5 minutes is very conservative. So we can, I mean, if there are questions or so, we can extend the time for the demo of a couple of minutes without any problems.
Okay, so 10 minutes per presentation. If there is any question in between, you speakers are willing to stop and answer, or you prefer to finish your presentation and then answer questions?
So I would personally very much prefer to have it interactive because I don't have really, I mean, I have one slide prepared, but then it's more about showing stuff around. So
okay, perfect. What about you, Fabrizio?
Well, it's the same. I also don't have slides at all. I'm showing the tool directly.
Okay.
I have a storyline to show, but I can be interrupted.
So what is clear is that we have 15 minutes per demo. Okay, Gamal, what would you prefer? To do your presentation first and then questions, or something more interactive?
Well, I would prefer to present the technique first, then I can answer the question like during the presentation or during showing the demo.
Okay,
but I'm not going to take a very long time to show my demo and my presentation, so I expect a lot of questions can be there.
The only problem I see is that since we have only 10 minutes, probably if we start doing too many discussions, probably we don't manage to finish. I don't know, this could be a concern, but I'm not sure.
So it's 10 minutes presentation and 5 minutes question and 5 minutes for people to change room, right?
Yeah.
That's what Marco said. And there are, so it's 3 rounds of each. So you have to do rounds of each of the 3 demos, right? Okay.
But okay, let's try. Actually, it's not different from when we do it in person. Also in person, we have a limited time.
Yeah, indeed.
Stefan is one of the speakers, or he is only attending? Because I have the list, the waiting list, and I don't know if admitting him already or not, because I see him in the list of authors of one of the demos.
So maybe there is a Martin who wants to come in.
There is a Martin Eigenmann, yeah. He is.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He will also be speaking a bit. So.
And what about, I'm checking the ones in this session, sorry, because I was not going to be doing this. So Stefan Fahrenkopf is also author of your demo, right, Gamal?
He is, yeah, he is part of our, he is a co-author, but I'm going to present the paper.
Okay, but I am going to admit.
Yeah, of course, you can. Yeah.
Hi, Martin.
And you know the order, right? First is the shared prompt, then MQTT says, and then a chatbot for user-friendly specification of declarative process models.
Mm-hmm.
And then again the same.
And for and in the chat, I just put the links to the 5 sessions. So
okay,
when
so
you
I'll
need
let the people
switch, you know, when you need to switch, you don't need to look for the links on the app or the website. Just, you know, they're here.
The only thing, do you want me to also introduce the session, the demo session?
I mean, okay,
it's okay. Just
if you're okay, that would be great. I mean,
I can deal with it. Don't worry. But I won't say any words on the demos because I didn't have any time to check on them. So
but also there's also no time. I mean, there's no time to land for introduction.
I will just explain how it will work and give the word to Gamal. Okay.
Very short explanation, housekeeping, and then they can start.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, and I will do the same on the other session.
Gamal, Andrea, and Fabrizio is the order.
Yes, and by the way, we will stay here. So those links that you posted, Marco, are for the others, right? We will be here the whole time.
Yes,
exactly. So that they can
because you will do it 2 times. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, if you are, I don't know, if you are the first, then I mean, you can leave, but you should be back.
Yeah, sure.
No, he should not leave because then it's going to create much stress for us, you know?
To keep it safe, don't leave. Yeah.
We already have stress enough, so it's nice if you can stay.
So we should start in 1 minute, am I right?
Or already, we should start already.
Yeah, it says 45, so we should have started seconds ago.
So I'm gonna
okay, so
admit all. I'm going to admit all.
So welcome to this session, and I'm
Hello everybody. We are in the demo sessions. The way in which this is going to work, there will be a 10-minute presentation by the speakers, but in most of the cases you can interact with them, raising your hand or directly unmuting your microphone and asking your question. There will be then 5 minutes if there were not questions in between 5 minutes of the presentation, and then you will have 5 minutes to change, if you want to change the room, to one of the other demo sessions. So now I hand over to Gamal.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. In this demo, I'm going to present ShareProm, a tool for privacy-preserving inter-organizational process mining. Right now, due to privacy concerns, organizations can't cooperatively or jointly calculate their event logs because they can't share their event logs together. So they go for a third party, a trusted third party, to perform the analysis for them. And even though they need to find that kind of trusted third party to perform the analysis for them. In ShareProm, we are providing a tool that's going to calculate the process mining jointly between 2 or more organizations using multi-party computation protocols. And after that, it applies differential privacy before revealing the process map. ShareProm assumes that every party has a client and a server to run the computation. And first, it assumes that the party is going to import their event logs into an EXS format. Then the client is going to perform a mapping to secret shares, which is required by the protocol. And then the servers of the protocols distributed among the organizations secretly and using the protocol are going to combine, perform the parallel sort, calculate the DFG, And later on, they are going to apply differential privacy for the discovered process map. And after that, the analysis can be shared with the analyst to perform the analysis freely. ShareProm applies pre-processing to perform a padding, and it combines the event logs because they are distributed among organizations. So we will have a single view of the entire process, and then it performs sort and the grouping for building the DFG matrix. We are using one-hot encoder and the privacy-preserving sorting techniques and the privacy-preserving updating for the matrix to even protect against knowing pattern attacks for the privacy. In this demo, I'm going to show a case of a manufacturer and a supplier. The manufacturer has parts of their process performed by a supplier. The supplier produces a product and performs a transportation, and then it sends a confirmation for the manufacturer, and then the products arrives the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer proceeds with its process. And all of that happens between organizations. So we are assuming that every organization has their server to run the protocol, but every kind of the data that's going to be shared between the organizations are going to be shared in a secret shares, and secret shares ensures the privacy because they are encrypted, and the data doesn't like, we are not sharing the data with other parties. We are sharing the secret shares, and we are calculating the data on each server of the organization. Now I'm going to start the demo. To simulate the scenario, I have 3 virtual machines, one for the party A and one for party B, and another one for the analyst, which is going to view the result. As you can see, I have a server running in the background. This is a script to run the server which is going to be one node for the multi-party computation protocol. And on each party, I have like a server to run the protocol. Okay. And right now, I'm going to start the GUI for the application. And right now, I'm going to import the manufacturer event log. It's an EXS format. And now the file has been uploaded to the server of the party. And this is the process map for party A only, or the manufacturer. Again, I'm doing the same with the partner of him, which is the provider. I'm going to import the supplier event log here. Just writing the sudo password. And this is the event log for only the supplier. And now the analyst is ready to get the analysis. And this is the joint map between the processes. We are assuming that in our framework, we are assuming that the parties have their case identifier are the same. Like so if I have a case starting from party A and goes to party B, they both of them share the same case identifier to perform such a technique. And for future work, we can overcome that by using some kind of protocols called private set intersection, which enables parties to share like their IDs without revealing them to others. Now I'm ready for questions.
Okay.
Gamal, which did you be, so is it fine if I'm just asking, or?
Sure, yeah, I'm ready now.
Which I saw that you developed that in Python. Are you using PM4Py for the actual mining and the parsing, or?
I'm using PM4Py to just like draw the process. Yeah, but I'm not using PM4Py over the protocols.
Okay, okay. But the DFG, that's not calculated using the DFG
No, it's not.
Okay.
We have implemented that using secret shares because we keep the DFG privately. It has an implementation using secret shares inside, distributed among the servers that you can see here.
Yeah. And would you be allowed to show us the log file that you uploaded?
Sure. Yeah. Just a moment. Okay. Okay, now you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Via Zoom, we see your operating system, which is simulating another operating system, and yeah, that's quite some technology going on in here.
Just a moment. It's home, SureMind. Okay. Well, I can show them from the external one.
I mean, if you have it, otherwise, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a moment. It's like it's here. Yeah, it's also available on the repository. Actually, it's public, so it's not a secret. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. So I have the manufacturer. It should be here. Yeah, this is the supplier. Okay. And this is the manufacturer. Okay, yeah. So this is the manufacturer, event log, and this is a supplier. Also, they are available on the GitHub repository. I think, yeah, they are available on the GitHub repository over a folder called demo. And also the explanation is in the README file of the repository.
And I see that you don't have a specific extension informing about this encryption mechanism that you applied. So by just opening the file, so I mean, is this done on purpose or?
Yeah, because I'm not assuming that parties are going to share the file. The file is being used from a client inside the party, inside the organization. And the calculation part is going over secured protocols. I mean, they are not giving each other the data, but they are transporting the calculations via some kind of protocols. It's called the three-party multi-party computation. That's the computation protocol that we're using. And that's enables us to like calculate the sorting, the aggregations, all of the DFG queries over those protocols. And within that secured environment, we are applying the differential privacy before revealing the output. So basically, that event log doesn't go outside the company or the organization. So that's why it's not encrypted.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. If there are questions in the audience, you can simply unmute and start speaking, okay? So, any other question? We still have a couple of more minutes before the time to change. No more questions?
You can. I'm inviting the attendees to visit our repository. It's available online, and you can check examples of using the tool and how to install the tool in your machines.
Right. And as I explained at the beginning, just in case some of you didn't hear that, in the chat, you have the 5 sessions where the different demos are being shown. And in between every presentation or every demo, there will be 5 minutes just in case you want to change the room. And there will be 2 rows of presentations of the 3 demos per session, okay? So now we are in session 2. I advise you to stay so that you now can listen to Andrea presenting the following demo, but maybe in the second row, you can go to a different session. Now it's a bit weird because we don't see people moving, sitting, and coming. Well, we can see it in the participants.
Yeah, it's a new experience.
Exactly.
Sorry, can I try something?
Sure.
I have one minute, right? Because I need to speak in the microphone to interact with the applications. I want to see if there is any problem with that.
I can hear
you.
You
should let
perfectly.
us interact with the application, Fabrizio.
What? You should?
We should send commands to your application.
Exactly. Let me see if it works. Okay, new. The process starts when an order is received.
But what are you trying to do, Fabrizio?
What?
What are you trying to do?
I can show you if you want. But
I can stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
So I'm.
But we are open. I mean, now anyone can see what you are gonna show.
So don't steal my session, Fabrizio.
Okay. Go ahead.
But we still have to wait. So Andrea, we need to wait until 2:05 to start your presentation, right?
Right.
Because
then some spoilers.
There needs to be 5 minutes in between so that people can change from one session.
You will see in my session what I don't want to spoil it.
That's a nice cliffhanger from you, Fabrizio.
Maybe if we still have some time until the next presentation, Kamal could talk a little bit about what are the future plans with the tool or the application.
Well, our future work is going to be balancing the risk of and the utility of the differential privacy that we are inserting, because we are inserting noise over the DFG, and that affects the behavior, and that affects everything actually. So we need to have a metric for balancing both the utility and the risk, like the risk measure. So we need to achieve such kind of a thing. And I think also might be an interesting application using such a technique and providing techniques like federated machine learning as parties have their own machine learning models or the updates of the model driven from their data sets, and they can calculate the integrated machine learning model using the multi-party computation. So I think that would be a good idea, going with the federated machine learning.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Do you want to start sharing your screen, Andrea?
Yes. You see it?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, I think you can already start, Andrea.
Okay. So hi everyone. I have to admit that it's really a pity to have these demo sessions live, because that's where I think the close interaction is the most interesting. But yeah, that's live. Please, if you have any questions or if you want to interrupt me, I'm not sure if it's a good idea that you write on the chat, because I don't have it. I cannot see it. So just unmute yourself and throw your questions to me. There is also Martin, who's also presenting. So we will exchange a bit of ideas about what we did. So what I want to present you is this MQTT XCS. This is a Java library, and it's a library for real-time telemetry for process event data. So let me sketch you a scenario first. So let's say we have our organization, which has different branches that are maybe distributed over different locations. And with this library, the idea is to enable the real-time tracking of all those events by using the MQTT protocol. So essentially, all the processes, all the running instances of these processes can be recorded and sent to an MQTT broker. And by the way, MQTT is a standard that emerged in the IoT domain. And it's a publish subscribe approach. So essentially, you can publish your events. You can publish your your events, your data into a broker, and then you may have different subscribers that are notified and that can consume the events being generated by the producers, and they're notified by the broker. So, for example, you can subscribe to all the events from your organization, so across the different processes distributed over the different branches. Or you can subscribe, for example, to one specific process independently from where this process is taking place. So, for example, if you have process 1, which takes place at branch 1 and branch K and Z, you can just subscribe to all the events that are referring to this process. And then here on the right-hand side, I'm depicting possible possible applications for that. For example, you can do conformance checking for all instances of a given process across all different branches. Of course, now we're talking about online process mining because all of that is happening in real time, right? So you can do, for example, conformance checking in real time for all the instances of process 1. You can calculate some general statistics for all processes across all branches of the organization. Or you can do what I called here cross-branch and preventive model repair. So for example, you can apply the typical model repair, but for example, you can apply, you can deploy the repaired model to different branches. So let's say that you start observing the need for repairing of a process that is emerging at one branch. You can deploy the repaired model, so you can deploy the re-engineered version of the process to the different branches as well. Yeah, so that's it. So I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but I would like to show you some Java as well. And again, if you have questions, please interrupt me whenever you want. Because as I said, this is a Java library. So I would like to show you the basic ideas of that, to show you the simplicity, let's say, of doing that. So this is an example of a producer. You can essentially construct a new client to where the data will be sent. And to do that, you need to specify the host name of the broker. By the way, can you read or is it too small? It's too small.
Maybe you could make it a bit
yes.
bigger.
Editors. Text. Where is it?
If not, it can be read, but
okay, let me see if I can find. No, I cannot find text font edit.
Maybe if you press Ctrl+, the text will be zoomed. Okay.
Is it better now?
yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. By the way, as I was saying, you can just construct this client where you need to specify the host name of the MQTT broker. And in this example, I'm using this, which is a publicly available broker. And then for sending your event, you need to essentially construct your MQTT XES, XES MQTT event. And these, whenever you want to construct such an event, you need to specify the name of the process, you need to specify the case ID, and you need to specify the activity. Now, for the sake of this experiment, I'm just generating random process names, random activities, and progressive case IDs. So let's try this. Now I'm actually wrapping this piece of code in a while true loop. So this will start to send events forever. Yeah, and by the way, once you have created your event, you can just call the send method for that event. So let me just try to start this. So now, assuming that the application is running, now we are sending these events, and we can consume these events, for example, by connecting to, by using any MQTT client. So we can connect to this client, and we can subscribe to the XES topic. So let me try that. You can try that on your hand as well. That should work. Okay, so now you see that we have all these messages, all these events that are coming in. And so I will stop this just to give you an idea of what's going on. The idea of MQTT XES is to exploit, so rather than exploit, is to leverage the topic structuring of MQTT to provide the basic information that are needed for process mining purposes. So essentially, we are constructing the topic such in a way that the information are always reported, are always available. Now you see that the payload is actually empty because we don't specify any other attribute. Here we're just saying that we want to generate an event referring to a certain process name for a certain activity, for a certain case ID and a given activity. We can add, of course, all the attributes that we want, and we can specify event level attributes or trace level attributes. And this library is also fully compatible with OpenXCS. So if we have our Xtrace Java object, we can just put those attributes in there as well. So let me generate these events again, and let me reconnect to this thing. So we said this is called XES. We subscribe, and now we see that it's not super readable. I think I didn't stop the previous instance, did I? Yeah, that's exactly the problem. So I forgot to stop the previous instance, but now you see that the attributes are sent as JSON objects in this case. Of course, you can, so right now we decided to subscribe to all events being produced by this specific organization. But for example, so let's start this again. We could also decide to subscribe just to the events referring to one specific process. So XES, and we can say, I want to subscribe just to the events coming from P1, for example. And then we should start to receive fewer events. Now there are too many probably, so that's not feasible, but yeah. This is an example of the producer for these events. For the consumer, it's also fairly easy because you can just specify your client, and the client can subscribe to these events, and by providing a callback function, you can essentially implement whatever you want. You can implement how you want to process the events that are being generated. Actually, there are a few instances of logs that are constantly being streamed to the PMCEP topic. So if you subscribe to the PMCEP topic on that broker, you will see a bunch of events that are being sent. And these are essentially events coming from some of the BPI challenges that are being sent over and over continuously over this channel. So let's try to run this consumer, which whenever a new event is received, it prints the process name, the case ID, and the activity name. So you can just start this, and I started the other one. So you can just start the template consumer, not XES, sorry, PM. You should specify the base. And now we see that all these events referring to some BPI challenges are being sent. This is just, these are just some events that are being continuously streamed for testing purposes. Martin actually developed also a dashboard, a web-based dashboard, which is based on Grafana, which is this toolkit to build dashboard. And this dashboard, which by the way is publicly available, is just reporting some basic statistics about these processes. So for example, here you see, I think that's the average number of events being sent for each process. And here you see the actual distribution of the events over, in this case, a 6 hours time window. The idea in this case would be to define some dashboards that are process aware. So essentially to trigger some real online process mining activity. So for example, some online conformance checking or some online discovery. But what I wanted to present here is more the library to enable the communication, which is based on MQTT, but it's very much aware of the notions that we have in the BPM context. So it's aware of the process, it's aware of the case ID, the activity names, and the attributes. So that's briefly the presentation. You can find all the references all around. But if you have questions, just feel free to ask.
We have more minutes, 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes, okay.
Some questions for Andrea?
No, that was too boring.
I have one actually.
I have a question.
Ah, sorry.
There is someone speaking, but we cannot hear you properly.
Hi, this is Ronnie. Can you hear me?
No, we hear you like from very far away.
Yeah.
Oh, let me check.
Maybe Williams, can you go ahead first?
Yeah, sure.
Ronnie fixes the mic.
Thank you for the nice presentation.
Yeah.
This is very interesting, actually. Can I ask you how you came up with this idea? It looked like to me as you try to cut out the information system from the loop in some senses. Is this the idea from which you started, or?
What do you mean cutting out the information system, Williams?
Because as I see, you are able to take a random sensor and install your application running. The sensor starts streaming your events to the predictor or some other monitoring system, so that you are not gathering the new events from the information system, but you are gathering them directly from the sensor.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Williams. That's absolutely correct. One possible way of using the library is indeed to bypassing. I mean, I'm not sure if in that case you could say that the sensor serves also as information system, maybe, I don't know. But you're right. One possible usage is to, let's say, move the logging part closer to where the event is actually happening. So if you have, I don't know, a sensor that tells you when a certain door is being opened, you can just let that sensor to produce the corresponding event. That's certainly the direction we're pointing towards with this. But nothing forbids you to have actual information systems that, instead of recording the logs into a static file for processing using the process mining 1.0 or let's say the typical process mining, you can just have these events not only stored in the log, but also sent somewhere for online process mining. But certainly moving the logging closer to where the event is actually happening in reality is one of the purposes of that. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah.
Thank you.
There is also another question by Williams Vitzi.
Yeah, it was me.
Sorry. You have your gonna lower your
hand. I tried to raise your hand and then I realized that I was just capable of unmuting myself.
Okay, so Ronnie again, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
All right, great. So I was wondering, what about how easy is it to already add your things that you did previously regarding online process mining and so on to this system? So how much effort and how mature are the systems to be combined already to do some basic online conformance checking or discovery and so on?
I mean, it shouldn't be that hard because I mean, if we look at the online process mining, so not the incremental part of process mining, but the online process mining, that are as far, I mean, I'm aware of two techniques. One is the one that Buzz developed, which is essentially also based on a publish subscribe mechanism, but that exists just within Prong. And the other is the one that I developed in connection with PLG2 and blah, blah, which is based on TCP connections. But in either case, it should be fairly easy to plug this system, let's say, this system in, because essentially a conformance checker becomes just a consumer. And in both approaches that currently exist for online process mining, you have the notion of receiving a new event and to be processed and consumed somehow. So what here is actually represented as a callback function should be essentially the entry point for those techniques. So though I didn't do that, this exercise of translating, I think it should be fairly doable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now we leave these 2 minutes for people that want to change sessions.
Okay, so I will stop sharing. Thank you guys, bye.
And Fabrizio can start sharing his screen.
So I start from
okay,
website.
We'll wait a couple of minutes. Okay, Fabrizio, you can already start.
Okay, thank you very much. So, hi everyone. So here we are presenting Declo, that is a chatbot for modeling declarative processes with based on natural language. The thing that I wanted to do before looking at the application itself was to tell you that Declo is part of the modeling component of a larger project, which is Room, which will be presented more extensively at the ICPN conference. In any case, if you want information about Room, you can go to this website, rulemining.org, and you find materials, demos, and tutorials and information about this new tool for rule mining. And in this tool, there is, as I said, the Declare editor. And inside the Declare editor, there is a chatbot to support the modeling of Declare models with natural language. So this work, at bottom of this page, you find also the publication. And this work was done in collaboration with Anne van der Aa, who actually developed the interpretation of the natural language sentence and to translate them into Declare constraints, and two students of mine that I supervised at the University of Tartu, Antti Alman, who is now a PhD student there, and Carl Balder. So let's switch now to the tool. Let me see. This should be the one. No, this one. Okay. Okay. So now you should see the tool, and as I said, there are in Room there are different sections for rule mining, so process mining based on Declare. And so as I said, this is not the function. All the functionalities of Room are out of scope of this demo. What I want to focus here is on the Declare editor that we have here. And inside the Declare editor, there is this component that is based on the chatbot that we have called Declo. So, for example, if I want to create a new Declare model, so here it's important to highlight that the version of Declare that supported is MP Declare. That means multi-perspective Declare, and so that you can define rules that are based on control flow, but also enriched with data and time conditions. So here in the top left corner of the screen of the editor, you find the voice and text input, and then Declo is asking if a sentence, a constraint in natural language should be inserted using speech recognition or using the chat. So you can write it down or using speech recognition. So let's try a first constraint with speech recognition. So I mentioned, I say a sentence and then Declo should recognize it. The process starts when an order is received. Okay, so Declo understood that this sentence is saying that an init constraint should be attached to a receive order activity. Now, the nice thing here is that even people who do not understand this representation could switch from one visualization to another, because here you don't see the model only using the standard Declare notation, but you can also switch it to textual, so that you can, if someone does not know the graphical notation of Declare, he or she can double check using a textual description if the semantics was understood correctly. In this case, there is this predefined description that tells you that receiving order should occur first. And then you can even, for more formal people, you can see this representation also as an automaton. And then you can interact with this visualization also separately. For example, here I say that Declo understood correctly. For now, I don't want to add a data condition. I want to add a new constraint to show you that it is automatically translated into an automaton. So I'm doing a response, I'm saying a response constraint now. When an order is received, an invoice should be eventually sent. Okay, so here there is you can actually there is here a mistake in the understanding. So what you can do here is to change the the sentence that was understood, because it was understood send instead of sent. And now the response constraint is recognized. So what you can do is to check that in Declare you have the response constraint. And again, if you are not familiar with automata and with Declare, you can see that in the textual description, you see that if receive an order, then send invoice should occur after it. So something you can do is also to add data conditions here. So here Declo is asking, would you like to record or write a condition? So let's say that I want to record the condition. An activation condition I'm recording, so I want that receive an order is followed by send invoice only if the amount is greater than 10. Okay, in this case, just a little bit simpler sentences are recognized. So what I do here is just to mention the variable, the operator, and the second term of the condition. Even if we can support also combine conditions in and or. So activation amount, sorry, activation amount is greater than 10. Okay, so if you go in the declare model, you see that the activation condition is now amount greater than 10. And then you can add also other conditions, for example, a time condition between 1 and 3 hours. Okay, so it's automatically translated into the time condition that is provided by MP declare. And the other thing that actually we did a user evaluation with this, and the main outcome of the user evaluation was that this type of speech recognition could be somehow useful mainly for mobile applications. So what we did was to enrich this this interaction with speech recognition using a chat, so that it would be probably more useful in the context of a desktop application. So what you can do, I don't know how much time I have, Adela.
1 more minute before the questions start.
Okay, I'm finished. So I don't want to add. So now instead of using speech recognition, I can write in the chat another constraint. So for example, an order can be archived only if it was closed before. Okay, so this is a precedence, should be a precedence, and I apply it, and then you see that archive an order should be preceded by close an order. You can just very quickly, you can in Room you can actually take a snapshot of this model, call it snap declo, for example, and then you can use it in the rest of the application. So for example, I have a log here in conformance checking, and then you can open the snapshot, then select a log that I previously created, and then you can do conformance checking with that. And then here you can see that here the response between receiving order and sending, sorry, here the response between receiving order and sending invoice is violated because if I show the payloads here the amount is greater than 10, but and also here I don't see it. It should be something greater than 10. Okay, I don't. Okay, anyway, both amounts are greater than 10. So, but receive an order is not followed by send an invoice. So this is a violation. The other violation is a temporal violation because the receive an order is followed by send an invoice. But you remember that send an invoice should occur between 1 and 3 hours. And in this case, if you see the timestamp, both send an invoice occur before 1 hour. So it's outside the time interval. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Fabrizio.
Thank you.
Cool. So are there any questions in the audience? Please just unmute and ask directly.
Yes, Fabrizio, super nice. I was just wondering which sort of sentences can you use? Like, can you can you sort of list the constraints, or can you specify what the what behavior you would expect? So which type of sentences can you use?
No, okay. You can actually say more than one constraint in the same sentence. Yes. Of course, we are actually. This is a very let's say very first experiment in this direction. So we are continuously improving the vocabulary and the type of sentences that the tool can somehow understand. But even from the first version of the tool, in some sentences where it is very clear that there are constraints that are separated and easily identifiable in the sentence, so you can even list all the constraints in a single sentence. I think that the best way is to interact with the chatbot one by one. So by writing a constraint or by saying them one by one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? We have 2 more minutes.
I think it's a really cool job, Fabrizio. Thank you very much. I have a question, also kind of the question regarding more the patterns that you have. So the order of application of these patterns. I saw that in your demo you were giving, for instance, the initial an initial constraint was the first. But would it happen? Would it make it inconsistent the model if I have, for instance, 2 init constraints, or if I have something that doesn't really match the set of vocabulary that you have? What would happen there?
That's a very good question. At the moment, there is the checking of the consistency of the model is can somehow be done separately. For example, by looking at the automaton that comes out from the model. So if you see the automaton, you see that the automaton is empty, then you see that the model is inconsistent. But there is no check in the. You can add 2 init if you want in the model, even if the automaton is empty in that case. Also because when you do conformance checking and you do, for example, you have 2 inits, you could also want to, even if the model, the conjunction of the constraints are not consistent, all the constraints in the same model, you could also check them individually. So you can have 2 inits, and then in the conformance checking, you want to see the traces where one init is satisfied and the other one is satisfied. So it could be also relevant to have an inconsistent model in some cases.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can I? One last question.
Yes.
I hope I'm not the only one, but what happens if you say some gibberish? So so will it always try to let's say map the sentence to a constraint, or so what happens is if what you are saying is not matching any of the templates or the patterns that you have in there?
Let's try. I don't know. Down.
So I think it will always try something, right?
Always try something. Maybe existence. I don't know. Let's say this is a condition. That's right. So like foobar.
Today is sunny or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Today is sunny.
I mean, not here in Copenhagen, but let's say it should be sunny.
Yes, it's an existence.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. In this case, when something is not understandable, it takes it as that it takes a part of the sentence that you're said, and then it put an existence because it takes it as an activity.
So it is assuming that you're saying some constraints. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But then you can always go into the textual, and then you can see that the constraint is today occurs at least once, and you see that it's something that it's
only occurs at least once. But this is something that I saw the other presentation today in annotations, and something that I add that you could probably benefit from was the post-processing step, in which they filter things like is or be or want or like, that you know that these are not really actions, right?
Yeah.
Well, those are treated as those are not treated as actions normally, but as words that can indicate relations. So this is a different class of verbs. And actually in our work, also the BPM forum paper, we actually built on recognizing these because they do play an important role in declare, or when you specify declare using natural language.
Interesting.
As far as the question about gibberish goes, then I was the one who worked on the implementation of the chat itself and the editor. And from testing, I can tell you that it's very rare for the implementation to not find a constraint. It can happen, but it's very rare. It usually either picks up an existence or ties the activity, or if it finds two activities, then it kind of ties them together. And in some cases, it is also possible for it to find multiple constraints from a single sentence, but that is also rare.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you all. So now in 1 minute, the next round should start. I'm going to hand over the word to my colleague Cristina Cabanillas, and she's going to be chairing the last part of the session, okay, since Michael was not able.
Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Well, I think it's time we can start. We can make the short break after this presentation again, but since everyone is expecting to have a presentation now, let's do it. So the next presentation is again the talk by, let me remind it, sorry, Gamal El-Koumi, right? So the floor.
Yeah, okay. I'm here. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good evening. In this demo, I'm going to present ShareProm, a tool for privacy preserving inter-organizational process mining. Organizations are collaborating with their processes, and they want to gain insights from their event logs, but their event logs are distributed among those parties. Due to privacy regulations like GDPRs or the privacy concerns of organizations, organizations can't share their private event logs together. What happens is usually they are hiring a third party to perform the analysis for them, which is still leaks some private data of the organizations. In this demo, we are proposing ShareProm, a tool that uses multi-party computation protocols to calculate the process map jointly between organizations and applies differential privacy to the output DFG before revealing the output to the analyst. In our security model, we are incorporating honest but curious adversaries, which means organizations are driven by their business drivers for analyzing and for like stating truths, but they are curious to know the secrets of each other. In this demo, I'm going to assume that every organization has an installed client of the ShareProm on their organization, and they are going to have a server that runs the execution of the protocols on their side. But the event logs doesn't leave the parties, but the calculations is going to happen through a third party, through multi-party computations. Then the application is going to transform their event logs into secret shares, and then using the secure processing of secret shares, we are performing combination of the event logs together. Then we are providing the parallel sort. We are performing sort in a scalable way, and then we are calculating the DFG, and then we add a differential privacy to the DFG, and then after that we can reveal the output DFG only, the process map, to the analyst who is going to perform the analysis. The analyst can be anyone inside any of the organizations. And in our approach, we are performing pre-processing, things like performing padding for securing against things like minimum or maximum values, or minimum or maximum shortest or longest path. Then we are performing a combination to combine the event logs together to have a single point of view or a truth of the events. Then we are performing grouping and sorting to build the DFG. After that, the DFG is being updated using one-hot encoding protocol, which keeps the data private against any kind of pattern mining attacks. And then we add the differential privacy to the DFG. In this demo, I'm going to use an example of a manufacturer and the supplier. The manufacturer has its pipeline and it orders some products from the supplier. The supplier produces the products, transports the product, and lets the manufacturer that the products arrived, alarm the manufacturer that the products arrived to their system. And then the manufacturer is going to continue its processing. Now I'm going to simulate the scenario. We are assuming that we have 3 parties. Every one of them has its own server. I'm going to simulate that via virtual machines. So I have 3 virtual machines. They are connected using my virtual machine network. This is the virtual machine for party A or the manufacturer. And this is the second one. And this is the third one. This is the running of the previous run. So now I am the manufacturer. I'm going to, on my client, I have my event logs, which will not leave my site. I'm going to upload my event logs, my event log into XCS format for the client of our tool. And you can see even, this is the server that we are talking about that is going to perform the multi-party computation protocol, and the client tells that the event log has been imported successfully, and this is a process map for the party A. Now I'm going to go for the party B, which is the supplier. I'm going to import the event log of the supplier. Again, it doesn't leave the side of the supplier. And this is the event log, the process map of the supplier. Now I am the analyst, or the one who wants to initiate the joint calculation. So the analyst is, from his client, is going to initiate the calculation here, and the calculation is going to happen through the multi-party computation protocols between the 3 servers, and adds the differential privacy to the output DFG. And then it shows the process map, the entire process map of the jointly calculated process map. The event logs used in this demo are available on our GitHub repository. And as you can see, we are not hiding anything, because the event logs here are not leaving their parties. They are being transform it into a format called secret shares, and secret shares are encrypted format of the events, and we are trying to calculate the DFG matrix through multi-party computation between the organizations. You can find our GitHub repository from this link, or you can scan the barcode here. Any questions?
All right, thank you very much, Gamal. Is there any questions among the audience? If you are new here, you know, you can just unmute your mic and talk as you want. This is supposed to be just a meeting or something more informal, so you don't have to raise your hand or whatever. Any questions or comments? So Gamal, did you also try this in a real environment?
Yeah, I have like other 3 servers that I ran an experiment on, and it was another publication. We have a previous publication for the system, and it studies the scalability of the system and other parameters of the performance of the system and the applicability of the system in real world. Basically, we have 3 dedicated servers to run the protocols between them, and yeah, you can see like it's in another paper, and also it's available on the GitHub repository.
Okay.
And the references. Yeah.
Okay, we have something in the chat. So Marlon. Okay, you didn't do yet any case study. No, okay, but it's for the future.
Yeah, we have a bottleneck actually because most of the data available online are single organization data. So we tried to simulate the organization's like cross-organizational settings by splitting the event data to simulate that.
Okay.
Like I'm splitting part of the trace. So yeah, that's that we have done, but like because of the lack of cross-organizational data.
Yeah, I guess that's very tricky. So if it's usually complicated to get data for testing things in real life, I can imagine when you have to get data from different organizations and put them together and so on. So yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's see what time it is. So thank you very much, Gamal. If anybody wants to talk, you can still do it. But in any case, we are going to make a short break and we move to the next presentation in, I would say 10 minutes to stick to the initial schedule. Andrea, I think you're the next one presenting in this session, right?
Yes,
Maybe
I am.
you can
Should I
already
start
share
sharing the screen?
Yeah, share the screen so that people know what they are gonna hear afterwards when they come.
Yeah. Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
that's good. Okay, so see you in 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, roughly, yes. All right, so I think we already had time to move around. And yeah, we can start with the next presentation, which will be held by Andrea Buratin. So Andrea,
yes,
all yours.
Thank you. Hi again, everyone. I see a strong overlap in the set of participants from this to the previous session, but okay, people will join later. So what we want to present you today is called MQTT XCS, which is a real-time telemetry library for process event data that is essentially a Java library that allows you to share event data in real time, leveraging the MQTT protocol. So let's sketch a scenario first. Let's say that we have our organization, which has several branches distributed over different locations. And in each branch of the organization, there are different processes being executed, being performed. The idea is that by exploiting the MQTT protocol, we can send data to a centralized broker, which then in turn informs different consumers about the events that have been sent. So MQTT is a publish subscribe based protocol, which was originally designed for IoT, for the IoT domain. But we can use, so it is very, let's say, efficient from many points of view. In this with this MQTT XCS library, the idea is that we can build on top of this MQTT to enable, for example, consumers that are capable of calculating the conformance, the online conformance of a given process independently from which branch this process is actually being performed. So we can subscribe to all the events that are referring to a given process independently from the location. Another example is to collect general statistics for all processes across all branches, right? And all of that in real time as well. Another possible usage for that is what we call cross-branch and preventive model repair, which would mean essentially to observe the need for repairing a process which is being performed in one branch, and essentially deploy the new version of the process to the other branches before they're actually in need for such re-engineering step. These are all possible use cases where it might be relevant to use this MQTT XCS library. So I want to show you some Java code as well, because I think that one of the, so as I said, this is a Java library, and I think a strong point of this library is the ease that, with which this library can be used. So essentially, if we want to produce events, so let's say that we want to perform the logging, we can just define our client, as you see now highlighted in here. And we need essentially to specify a broker where these events should be sent. This is the host of this HiveMQ is actually a publicly available broker that we can use for this experiment. Then we can actually construct our event, XCS MQTT event object, which, as you see, are aware of all the typical concepts that we have in BPM. So they require, so to construct an XCS MQTT event, we need a process name, we need a case ID, and we need an activity name. And once this is all set, we can just send, we can publish this event to the broker. So let me uncomment this never-ending loop. So we will get some actual executions, and okay. So let's start this software, and then so now there are a bunch of events that are being generated and sent over to this broker. So we can use any MQTT client. This now I'm logging to into a web-based client. You can do the same if you want to. And now I can subscribe to the topic, which starts with XES, which is the base name that I use in this case. So if I subscribe to XES, I subscribe, and now I see that I have a bunch of events that are being sent. Actually, let me stop the generation. Actually, what you see here is that each message being sent is constructed in such a way that just the fact that the message is sent carries the information about the event. So essentially, the process name, the case ID, and the activity name are all encoded into the topic name. This gives us the advantage that we do not have to specify any payload, and this is an advantage because in MQTT there is no specific format for the payload, right? But there is a specific format for the topic name. However, we can add, so if we go back to our producer, we can specify attributes at the event level or at the trace level. And we can actually also derive or add attributes from the XTrace and the X events. For those of you who are familiar with OpenXES, which is one implementation, the implementation that has been built in PROM of XES, this MQTT XES library is fully compatible with OpenXES. So we can get all the information directly from that library into MQTT XES. So if we now run this again, we start to receive events where we have our attributes properly encoded. We can also decide, so now I've been subscribing to all the events, but we can, for example, decide to subscribe to all the events referring to one process. So now we will start to receive fewer events referring just to the process called P1. So this is it concerning the producer. I've actually deployed few producers that are constantly streaming events that are generated from that are essentially some publicly available event logs from the previous PPI challenges. And they are actually sent to this broker, and their prefix, the prefix for the topic is PM CEP. So this is an example of a possible consumer where, again, we need to specify the client, and we need to essentially subscribe to a topic, and we need to provide such callback function. In this callback function, you can do whatever you want. If we were to have an actual online process mining algorithm, this is where all the logic for that algorithm should be added. Right now, I'm just printing as these events are, what these events are referring to. So if I start this process, we should just see that, yeah, these logs, these processes are actually being published. We see their corresponding case IDs, and we see the activity name. So the main point of this library is the capability of leveraging the MQTT protocol and extending it with information, making it somehow BPM aware. So as you see, we can explicitly deal with concepts like the process name, the case ID, and the activity name. We also have built a Grafana dashboard, but for this, I will give the word to Martin.
Thank you very much on that. So what we did is we just subscribed to all the streamed events and stored them in a database, or are storing them in a database. And on top of that, we used Grafana to extract some basic process features. For example, the frequency of occurrence of events in a certain log. You can also graph this for the process instances or over a greater time, as well as showing individual data entries. But this is just a generic way with off-the-shelf software. Yeah. And this is publicly available as well.
Yeah, you can just log in, you can just enter this URL. And if you want, you can also subscribe to the events that are being sent to this PM CEP. So what happened? So you can log in with any MQTT client and subscribe to PM CEP, and you should receive these events that are constantly being sent. And as Martin said, now there is this very nice dashboard, which is, however, process unaware or partially aware. The long-term view would be to have dashboards that are process aware, that are essentially implementing online process mining algorithms. Good. So if there's any question, please feel free, unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, if there are no questions, I could answer again the questions that we had during the first round. But let's see if there's any question first.
Yeah, let's ask first. We have now 20 people among the audience. Is there any questions or any comments on this presentation?
So one of the questions we received earlier was whether we want to, let's say, skip off information systems or rule out information systems from the logging equation. And to some extent, I would say that this is one part of the story, meaning that if we do have sensors and we can plug, and these sensors are somehow process aware, it would be, of course, a very good idea to have those sensors immediately publishing their data. So immediately making the information available. If we don't have these sensors, so if we have typical information systems, we still can use this library, because typical information systems are logging the executions on static files. And by using this technology, we can just publish these events in real time so that they are also processed in real time. So we can get immediate feedback about what is going on. For example, with online conformance checking techniques that would tell us immediately if a process is deviating from the reference model or the prescriptive process.
So maybe I missed it in the presentation, but what's the reason for only taking into account the activity name, the case ID, and not considering, for example, the resources involved?
So you can have those as well. So the point is that the very basic requirements are process name, case ID, and activity. Yes. But then you can add all the attributes that you would have in an X-trace or in an X event.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed it. Okay.
No.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah. What else? I think we had another question before, Martin, but I don't remember it anymore. More. I see.
Question from Giovanni. Giovanni, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for your presentation. I just wanted to ask one question. I've seen that when you define the topic, basically where you want to publish information for each log entry, you build the topic by creating also the process name, process instance, event name. I wonder if it could be customizable. So for instance, to have a shorter topic, like having only leaving that only to the process instance level instead of having the single activity. Even though, of course, being MQTT, you can still just listen to all the events from, say, up to the slash you're interested to.
Yes, grazie, Giovanni. That's a good point. We decided to go for that structure for two reasons. So of course you can do that. Right now, this version of the library does not allow that. But we decided to go for that for two reasons. The first being that one of the use cases that we envisioned is essentially subscribing, for example, to a specific process instance or subscribing to a specific case ID. That's the first reason. And then there is more, let's say, a technology reason, which is that as far as I know, as far as I understood from the MQTT protocol, there is a standard. So the protocol specifies how the topic should be interpreted. There is no standard concerning the payload of the message. So that would mean that if we delegate the interpretation of the event exclusively to the payload, we would need, so we would not be able to, so we would need to impose a certain interpretation for the payload as well. Instead, by using this approach, we can provide the basic information needed for the typical, I would say, online process mining activities, just by specifying, just by using what is specified in the MQTT protocol. So the topic name, which has to be a string with a certain encoding. There is no timestamp because the timestamp is inferred from is attached, let's say, by the broker. So it's happening in real time. So this is what we are relying upon. So that's essentially the design choice that we did in here. Does that answer your question, Giovanni?
Yes, yes, I see your point. However, as I've seen that you still, I mean, your library is still capable of writing information in the payload. Plus, if your library supports both publishing and parsing information, it's true that MQTT poses no restriction on the payload. It could be JSON, it could be XML, it could be whatever you like. But I mean, as long as you are consistently using your library both for the creation and the consumption of the events, you can still agree on, rely on a specific topic. But yes,
you're absolutely right, Giovanni. Yes, yeah.
But yes, I also see your point because, for instance, if you're working, say, on an IoT device where you have constrained resources usage, you may not want to waste computing cycles, for instance, parsing the payload and just rely on the...
Yeah, in principle, I might not be able to use my library on an IoT device either. Maybe on that IoT device, I can just ask that device to publish the events on a certain topic. And then by specifying the topic structure, I can generate automatically events that then I can consume using my library, though they have been produced by a plain MQTT library. So not an XCS MQTT, but just an MQTT library. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Giovanni.
Yeah, thank you too. Grazie.
Yeah. No more questions, apparently. Christina, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Second time that it happens to me today. Okay, sorry. Yes, I was saying that maybe, yes, we can give these 2 minutes between one presentation and the other, and yes, leave it here because we don't have any more questions. But thank you again, Andrea and Martin.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks to you. See you around. Bye.
Yeah, see you around. And yes, in 1 minute or something, Fabrizio will start with the next presentation.
All right. Christina?
Yes.
Hi. It's Marco here. I'm supposed to chair this session, but
yes,
we made an on-the-fly arrangement. No, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you and Adela. And yeah, I'm back, but I will just enjoy the next demo. And,
yeah, let's enjoy what Fabrizio.
You can, if you have, I know you, the organizers are very busy. So if you have to leave or, something else to do, feel free. I'm here because my other session, we only had 2 demos. So,
it's finished.
I'm free.
It's finished.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So if, thanks a lot. And
you're welcome. Then you take over from now.
Yeah.
Hand over to you.
My job is very simple, just one last demo.
And actually, it was the one that got most questions in the previous round. So maybe.
Well, then I will make sure to make my own questions. Fabrizio.
Okay.
Okay.
In any case, we will be
we can start now, no? Because it's
it's
the time. All right, so welcome to this session, and we have one last demo by Fabrizio, who is going to talk about Declo, a chatbot for declare constraints, if I remember.
Specifying the constraints using natural languages.
Fabrizio, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Marco. So let me share the screen. The first thing I wanted to show is the website where we have information about. So Declo is a chatbot that is part of the editing component of a larger application, which is RAM. That will be presented at ICPM in considering all the functionalities, because it's an application, a novel application for rule mining. There are different functionalities for discovery, conformance checking, log generation, so on, based on declarative rules. But in this demo, we will focus on the editor of this application. And in particular, here you can find a demo and the information also about the editor plus the chatbot Declo that is included in the editor. And this work here you find some publications about RAM and Declo, and as you can see, this work was developed in collaboration with 2 students from the University of Tartu, Antti Alman and Karl Balder. Antti Alman is now a PhD in Tartu, a PhD student, and Han van der Aa from the University of Mannheim. So let's switch to the tool now. Let me see, the tool is here. Okay, so here you can see the home page of the tool is a desktop application implemented in Java. And you can see the different sections of the tool. And in particular, we are focusing now on the mpdeclare editor. So I click on mpdeclare editor and I go there. And in the mpdeclare editor, I can actually create an mpdeclare model. I can design an mpdeclare model. mpdeclare is an extension of declare, which is based on multiple perspectives. So it's mpdeclare means multi-perspective declare. So we can define rules on the control flow, but also data conditions and time conditions on top of the control flow constraints. So here I can create a new mpdeclare model. And here you can see that on the top left corner of the main screen, you can find voice and text input. And so you find the chatbot that we call the Declo. And here you can start either saying the constraints and that Declo will understand via speech recognition, or you can write the constraints in natural language in the chat. So I will start with the voice input. So I click on start listening. The process starts when an order is received. Okay, so Declo has understood that the process starts when receive an order is executed. And the nice thing in this tool is that even if you don't understand the semantics of the graphical notation of declare, you can switch from one view to another to double check, for example, if the textual description, here there are some predefined textual descriptions of the constraints, is actually in line with what you mentioned in your constraint. And here it says that receive an order is an activity that occurs first. So you can double check that your constraint was actually saying what you wanted to say. But for more formal people, there is also a representation of the constraint into an automaton. And then with these views, you can interact separately using the speech recognition and the chat. So for example, here I say that the constraint was recognized correctly. I don't want to add, so Declo asks if I want to add a data condition, but I don't do it for now. I want to add a new constraint. And now I will mention something that is corresponding to a response constraint. So I will say that an order should be, receive an order should be followed by sending an invoice. So I start listening. When an order is received, an invoice should be sent. Okay, so the constraint was correctly recognized. Here, for formal people, you can see that here there is an addition that is related to a response, but don't worry if you don't understand it. You can go again to the textual view, and you can see that the second constraint is if receive an order occurs, then send an invoice occurs as well. Actually, this is, let me see. Yeah, it was should be sent. Maybe it's if I can change it now because this is recognized as responded existence, because the verb should in this case is not somehow highlighting the fact that the execution of just here I didn't say that that should be sent afterwards. Okay, so it's correct that it's a responded existence. If I say, for example, if I change it here, edit, and this is correct that it's a responded existence, but if I want that actually send an invoice is executed after receive an order, I should say, of course, that it should occur after. So I can say should be sent afterward. Okay, so my mistake in the formulation of the sentence. So in this case, the sentence is clearly saying that send an invoice should be executed after. Something you can do is also to add data conditions. So for example, here Declo is asking if I want to record the data condition. Now I want to say that if I receive an order, then I send an invoice afterward, but only if receive an order as an amount greater than 10. So in this case, we use quite simple statements, so of the type variable operator and second term of the condition. So here I will say that the amount should be greater than 10 for the constraint to be activated. So I record an activation condition. So I want to say that the amount is greater than 10. Amount is greater than 10. And then automatically the syntax of mpDeclare is added to the activation condition. And I can add also, yes, you understood correctly. And I can add also other types of conditions, for example, a time condition. I will say that send invoice should come after receive an order, but between 1 and 3 hours, for example. So I click on time condition, between 1 and 3 hours. So again, the condition is correctly recognized. And it's translated in the syntax of mpDeclare. So this means that send invoice should follow receive an order between 1 and 3 hours. Then I can, okay, you understood correctly. I don't want to add any other condition. So we did, tomorrow I will present the user evaluation of this tool. And actually, what came out from the user evaluation is that this speech recognition is usable, but the scenario where it is more the most suitable scenario for this type of instrument would be a mobile device. So what we did was to enrich this speech recognition tool with a chatbot. So you can also write a constraint in a chat, and again in natural language. So if you write here that an order can be archived if it was closed before. So here I should have a precedence. So I apply it. And then indeed, it recognized that this sentence is a precedence, and archiving order is preceded by closing order. Then what I can do in this tool in general is to take, for example, a snapshot of this model. So I call
Sorry,
it.
Fabrizio, I think if you could wrap up in like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fine. I need only 1 minute. So I call this snapshot Declo, and then, for example, I can use it in the rest of the in other sections of the tool. So, for example, I'm opening here the my model, my snapshot Declo. I select a log that I previously created for conformance checking, and then I click check. So what happens here is that I have some constraints with fulfillments and violations, and in particular, I have, for example, here in this trace, I have 2 violations, because in this case we have, if I show the payloads here of the events, I have to receive an order with amount greater than 10, but they are not followed by any activity send an invoice. But I can have also more subtle types of violations. For example, in trace 5, I have that receive an order is followed by send an invoice, but you remember the the time range was between 1 and 3 hours. In this case, send an invoice occurs, if you look at the timestamps, send an invoice in both cases occurs before 1 hour, and then the constraint is violated because the temporal constraint is not fulfilled. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the audience? If not, I have a quick question. First, I think the whole tool is pretty impressive. So it looks very nice and very useful actually. And I'm wondering, I'm interested more in the text recognition, and I wonder how, I mean, can it recognize multiple constraints in the same text? And if yes, how far are we from giving to this tool a process description as complex as a short description that we could give in an exercise for an undergraduate course, and be able to extract a set of constraints from that piece of text?
Actually, I don't know if Han is there. As far as I know, this tool was based on natural language recognition of the declared constraints that was developed by Han van der Rijn in a separate work. And if I'm not wrong, that work was actually based on the discovery of the declared models from textual descriptions. So in theory, so actually, if you try to this was also a question that was asked in the previous session. So if you try to make more than one constraint in the same sentence, the tool works, but of course is since as I said also in the previous session, this we are trying to improve the vocabulary and the type of sentences that can be recognized by the tool incrementally. And at the moment, I think the tool is more reliable when you actually mention or write down a sentence one by one. But in cases there is a clear separation between different constraints in the same sentence, it should be able to understand also multiple constraints in the same constraints in the same sentence. And then we tried also to do some nonsense sentences. And as also Antti, who is one of the developers, mentioned, in general, it tries always to translate a sentence into a constraint, even if there is actually no temporal description in that constraint. And in general, for example, in the previous session, we tried today is a sunny day, and in general it recognizes an existence constraint. So it take a part of the sentence as an activity, and it translates it into an existence constraint. So yeah,
yeah. So but I mean the recognition could be as powerful as extraction of declared constraints from text in the previous work.
Yeah, the backend is exactly the same.
Yeah. Thank you.
But here the idea it is also to somehow interact with the chatbot and try to, for example, in each constraint, trying to add a data condition on top of it. So in this case, for as a good practice, it would be better to mention a constraint and add the data condition. So having this type of interaction with the chatbot, yeah.
All right, thank you. I mean, we are at the end of this session according to the schedule. So I think we can close it here. Thank you very much to the speakers, and
thank you.
I think the session is closed, and I think we have a short break now, 20 minutes or so, and then at 05, I don't remember what time is in Spain, but in 20 minutes from now, we will have the keynote from California. So don't miss that. And I hope you have enjoyed the demos in this session. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.